You know, when I was in shop class in 7th grade, I made a cutting board, a really good cutting board. That cutting board lasted almost a year. And I was really proud of that cutting board until I met this guy. His name is Dave Thuemmel. He used to be a dairy farmer, but now he takes wet scraps of wood like this and he makes incredible stuff like this.
As soon as we got to town, everybody said, you've got to go see Dave. He's a retired dairy farmer,
right,
and that he makes the most incredible bowls out of wood. And at first I thought, well, bowls, wooden bowls, what's the big deal? Until I got here and I saw that you make art. You make actual usable art with wood.
Well, right, and that's an issue that this Thumb Arts Guild formed several years ago, and I started making bowls, and I didn't know if this was really art. And I took a bunch of them to a meeting, and oh boy, they thought it was art. But art is kind of what's in the eye of the beholder.
Yeah, well, what you're making here is definitely art. It's beautiful. Explain quickly the process, like this piece right here. What I love about it is the rawness of it. Mm-hmm. What's the process to make something like this?
Well, I started out with a piece of green wood.
Now, what's green wood?
Green wood, it's wet. It might be growing yet.
Oh, it's still alive. Gotcha.
Right, it still has moisture in it, in other words. And I usually leave the walls about an inch thick or so, or maybe more on a bigger bowl. And then they go up on a shelf for 3 or 4 months and they dry. And usually they'll warp some, but by leaving the walls that thick, you have enough to work with to get them round again. This particular bowl, though, was made just as it is, out of green wood, that thin. And then it just dried naturally. Right. And so you see, it isn't completely round, it's a little bit
But that's
off.
part of it has a natural organic feel
Right.
to it because it's not something that was made on a machine, it was made by a person.
Right.
So it's absolutely beautiful. And you have a great eye for art. And you take pieces of wood that a lot of us throw into campfires and you make them into pieces of art. So I think it's wonderful what you're doing.
Very good. Well, I burn wood. There's an outdoor furnace there. I burn wood for heat in the wintertime.
Don't burn any of this
Well,
stuff.
it's gotten to the point where every time I throw a piece of wood and I'm thinking, gee, are there some possibilities here?
What can I make out of this? Right.